There was a infamous case 6 months ago, 7 months ago, in KIIT University in Odisha, in India. So there was a girl student who came from Nepal to study here. She had a boyfriend and they had a very toxic relation, safe to say. He would physically abuse her and would threaten to leak her photos if she didn't do as he said. So she broke up and she reported it to the International Relations Office that he's still pestering her. But no action was taken against the ex. There's still clips of it on YouTube of one of his phone calls where the ex, verbally abuses her to the point she starts crying. So she tells the teachers that she doesn't feel safe. And there's a video of this particular altercation. It baffles my mind how these women teachers scream at her, threaten her to leave India, and makes racist comments about her nationality. Actual demonic entities. You should see the video actually. I know it sounds stupid, but I refuse to believe that these people were once babies. I refuse to believe. So she tragically unalived herself later that night. All other Nepali students were dragged from their rooms. All the Nepali students in the entire college were dragged from their rooms. They were beaten up by guards and pushed into a bus, which dropped them to a railway station far away from the university, as to give the idea that, as to tell them, go back to your countries. You're not welcome here. Hmm. A couple of months ago, there was a video which went viral. In it, we see some Marathi speakers who belong to a regional organization. They were seen abusing, threatening, and slapping a local shopkeeper, because he wouldn't speak Marathi and was acting arrogantly, which clearly, definitely didn't look that way from the video. Their leader, a famous politician, a famous influential politician himself says, and I quote, "If someone's ears don't understand Marathi, they'll get a slap." Many other reports of such incidents showed up after this. Many people, normal civilians, local shopkeepers, started being forced and harassed to speak Marathi. There is one particular clip which sums up this whole situation. The clip got, I think, 3 to 4 million views. And what happened in that clip was, it was in a train, and there's woman number one and woman number two. So, woman number one is recording woman number two. Woman number two has a child, a baby girl who's barely 1 year old, in her lap with one hand, and woman number two has, in another hand, she has a phone and she is recording woman number one. And so and so woman number two keeps telling the woman number one to speak Marathi, but the woman number one keeps saying, "I am Marathi, but I won't speak it. We were having a perfectly good conversation right about now, in but you started bitching about it." And so they keep going back and forth, keep going back and forth. There's an altercation between them, and one keeps forcing another to speak Marathi, and the second tells her, "No, I won't." And between this entire altercation, this between this entire low IQ discussion, The baby girl, the barely 1 year old baby girl, starts crying. I feel like this clip summarizes this whole situation. People like this, and largely a subject like this, is so incredibly low IQ, and talking about it reduces my brain cells. It's either Hindu Muslim. If it's not Hindu Muslim, it's North and South. If it's not North and South, it's language. We, the people, will find a way. It's actually disheartening how our nation is falling apart. Let's talk about the Subhash case. A case dear and near to me. It highlights how men's mental health is often ignored, and how the moral ribbon which is required to tie a marriage is wearing off, and multiple other things which you ought to figure out as we keep going. Be high IQ. It has something to do with section 498A. Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code. It penalizes cruelty by a husband or his relatives towards a married woman. It was introduced to combat domestic violence and dowry related cruelty. Good, right? Right. But woman. It was supposed to be a shield for women, but started to be used as a sword, as a weapon. There were many cases like this one where the reason to implement it was very vague and often misused. There was a growing trend of pursuing personal vendettas or personal scores via this. A Delhi data from 2021 to 2025 shows a very low conviction rate of just 0.2% in 498A cases. So, this case went viral when a spine chilling 80-minute video dropped. In this video, Atul Subhash, the hero of our story, in it, Atul Subhash, the hero of our story, tells us his grievances. He says that after battling through all the scum, the filth, his only option is to unalive himself. In this video, he talks about how during COVID, his wife lost her job and her mother's business wasn't going too well. And so the wife asked to buy the business's inventory for 15 lakhs, which is around 17,000 US dollars, which he agreed to do. But later found out that this money was used to buy a property house, an expensive property house at that. So he naturally asked to return the money, but they only gave 1.5 lakhs. And then she and her mother moved to some another place far away. What followed were a series of threats and mental and physical harassment cases against him, the husband, Atul Subhash, and his family. Her family charged 1 crore to settle the case, which then rose to 3 crores, around 340,000 US dollars. And he wasn't able to see his child, not even on his birthday. In the 2.5 years of court hearings, he made 120 court hearings and traveled 40 times to where he was to where the court was. This travel wasted 2 days at least. And because he only got 23 paid leaves, it also hurted him financially, on top of all other financial hurts that he's been enduring all along. He also talked about corruption in the judiciary system and how much of a filthy swamp it is. Many hearings were just wasted due to proceedings being delayed and lawyer strikes. Multiple people in the court, including the judge, remember it, including the judge, asked him for bribes of multiple lakhs to settle the case. There was an incident where the wife, who was in the court at that time, tells him to just unalive himself in front of the judge, and the judge actually laughs to this comment. Multiple other similar incidents of the wife and her mother taunting and aggravating him to unalive himself. In the end, he says, if the court decides that the corrupt judge and wife and other harassers are not guilty, then pour my ashes into the gutter outside the court so that keeps learning every day what the importance of life is in this country. Keep the last part in mind. I will be covering it again later. The importance of life in this country. So he does it, and there's a note on his chest which says, justice is due. The judge was promoted afterwards. Keep in mind this particular line as well. The judge was promoted afterwards, and the wife got bail in a couple of weeks. In January this year, 2025, the Supreme Court passed a landmark judgment. The court held that a husband remains the legal father of a child born during a valid marriage, despite allegations of adultery and biological evidence suggesting otherwise. The worst law against Indian men. Remember how, when I was talking about IITs, I explained something along the lines of how it was used, not how it was intended to use, but now how it is used to protect the image of the government. Can the same thing apply here? Bear with me. Be high IQ. Something outside world sees India very low divorce rates. Something they started noticing marriage institution start being a scam. Something make him legal father of someone else's baby. Something emotional damage. Something now you have to stay for the baby and marriage isn't broken. But obviously I'm thinking too much, right? It's not that serious, bro, right? 2 months ago, now I think 3 months ago, 3 months ago there was a happily married. At least it seemed like that in the photos. 3 months ago there was a happily married couple who went on their honeymoon to Meghalaya. They rented a scooter, went to some uphill place, very isolated, and didn't return back. So the Meghalayan authorities were sent to search for them, and the decaying body of the husband was found. And the wife was later found 1500, almost 1500 kilometers away in UP, in Ghaziabad, in some restaurant, in a dhaba, which is a restaurant, a local restaurant. And people thought that someone kidnapped her after unaliving the husband. Bad ending, 1 out of 2. which was not the case. It was later found that after the wife lured him to an isolated place, she had hired three people to get rid of him. The husband, when they found the body, he had stabs on his head. So they found the three people who were hired had a machete, a large machete with them. One of the three was the wife's ex lover. In a span of 45 days, there were seven such cases where the wife was actively involved in planning, cover up, and unaliving of the. Obviously, these are only the reported cases. And seeing how the police, the judiciary is, you can assume what the actual number would be. In the last couple of months, in the last many couple of months, we've also seen a surge in dowry debts in India. Dowry debts. That sounds so medieval, doesn't it? Barbaric, doesn't it? Very recently, a case opened. Well, not very recently. Now it's been, I think, 2 months now. A case opened up in Greater Noida in which the wife's family gave a car, cash, and gold to the husband's family. But they wanted more. So, one time in a dispute over this subject, in a domestic dispute over this subject, the husband, set the wife on fire. She passed away. I saw an interview of a reporter with this guy's neighbors, this husband's neighbors who set her on fire. This place is a, how do I say this? This place is a village area. If you don't speak Hindi, if you don't speak Hindi, I'm sorry, but you really need to hear these people talk. These people did every trick in the book to paint this guy as perfect, as someone who could do nothing wrong. And it was majority women, by the way, with this opinion. These people vote, by the way. There's a reason. There's a reason we are third world. We are third world. There's a reason why the rest of the world doesn't take kindly to us. I'm slowly but surely seeing signs of the marriage institute, and I am slowly but surely seeing signs of the marriage institute and institutes based around it, and the institutes based around it being a big scam. Judiciary is also a scam. The process is the punishment, as they say. The process is the punishment. This case is very. There was a very horrible, tragic case, infamous, horrible, and tragic case in. It was a rape case last year in 2024 in Arjikar Medical and in Arjikar Medical College and Hospital in Kolkata. So there's this creature, Sanjay Roy, who was a cook in this hospital in 2016. In 2016, this creature disappeared from there, but no one really batted an eye. Then 3 years later, he joins. Then 3 years later, he comes back and joins the Civic Volunteer Force of West Bengal. which worked with the police in managing and carrying out different events, kinda like a temporary police. Keep in mind that this creature had domestic violence complaints against him, and still he was part of the welfare force of the workforce, which is breach of Indian Penal Code in the first place. He used the right channels to shift to policies Kolkata police's welfare cell, and he had regular ins and outs from the hospital. Also did some corruption there. He was also given a security job there and a place to sleep there, a barracks of some kind. In 2021, there was a new principal in this college. This creature had too much influence over this principal, and the police influence on the police as well. So much so that he wrote Kolkata police on his bike and shirt. No one stopped him from going anywhere in the hospital to any floor. Fast forward to 2023, this guy had two domestic violence complaints against him, but no action. His two wives left him. The principal started getting allegations of corruption, financial fraud, and organ trafficking, and illegal trafficking of biomedical waste. And then, on the night of 8th August 2024, this creature was drunk and goes to the red light area and then trades pornographic photos and watches violent adult content. And around 4:03 a.m., he comes to the hospital and roams for a while in the hospital to find a victim. And in one of the rooms, in a seminar room, there was a female nurse who was sleeping. And so he finds a victim. He rates her, beats her, and comes out of the room at 4:40 a.m. And then he goes to sleep in another room in the hospital which was assigned to him. First of all, do this sequence of events make sense to you? Around 6:20 a.m., the lifeless body was found by a colleague, and it had bruises all over. The nurse's glasses were broken, and there was blood coming out of her eyes. The principal showed up in a couple of hours, and instead of informing the police straight up, and instead of informing the police right away, he checks himself. He he checks the scene himself and then informs the police. At the same time, the assistant superintendent informs the victim's family and tells them that she is ill and they should come ASAP. They call again, and the person tells them that she has unalived herself. Deja vu. The parents arrive at 12 p.m. and are only showed the body after 3 hours. They obviously deduce that it was not a case of self unalive, and after autopsy it was found so too. It was confirmed that it was indeed not self unalive case. There were signs of struggle on her body. There was also found 150 milligrams of semen, but later it was found out that it was less than that. But still, that much grams isn't possible for a single creature. So it was most definitely a gang rape case. Also, the victim's legs were bent in a 90-degree angle. And the bone, I can't remember the name, but it was, I think it was a pelvic bone in the upper thigh region or something that was broken. And in women, it is a very strong bone, and it would have been impossible to break it by a single creature alone. She was then cremated, some say forcibly in urgency by the police, some say the parents gave them permission to. I think the former is true. Because when they arrived at the place to cremate her, there were bodies in line, but they did it before them. They rushed to wipe off the evidence, or they probably really cared about the victim, right? Yeah, they cared about the victim. The creature was seen in the CCTV footage, and so he was found. He had a Bluetooth earpiece which helped them find him. A renovation, a renovation was started near the crime scene to destroy the evidence. To let me correct myself. To further destroy the evidence, there was a supposed to be peaceful protest for this in front of the hospital. The AITC is a Indian political party mainly influential in West Bengal and has a student wing called TMCP, which has a good amount of influence over this college and its student elections. From noticing the faces in the huge protest, they noticed faces, and it was found that many were members of TMC, and many hundreds, even thousands, were unknown. A small protest turned into thousands very quickly out of nowhere. These people, these people broke barricades and specifically stormed the floor where the incident happened and destroyed CCTV footages and MRI machines and the crime scene. This creature, this creature and the principal were found to be closed to TMC. This principal also had domestic abuse allegations. That's a common trope against these kind of in these kind of people, isn't it? This guy, instead of resigning, was promoted and sent to a better college. Do you see a deja vu happening? Mamta Banerjee is the chief minister of West Bengal and founded the TMC. She did not immediately hand over the case to CBI, the Central Bureau of Investigation. No. She requested for a period of 5 days. She requested for a period of 5 days to handle this herself. And then the Kolkata High Court gave the case to the CBI after pleading from the victim's family. 5 days seems too long for a crime this trivial, grave, and fresh, doesn't it? Or am I thinking too much? In the past, in the past, there are reports from students of this college of pornographic films being shot here and of prostitution. And students, even after having literally no reason to, mysteriously unaliving themselves. Mysteriously. Deja vu? Or am I thinking too much? The principle, this this principal on 13th December 2024 was granted bail by the Selda court in Kolkata for destruction of evidence as the CBI failed to file a charge sheet against him within a span of 90 days. There was very recently another case which emerged from Bhiwani, Haryana, my own state. A tragic case involving a woman, an innocent woman, very gruesome case, full of unprofessionalism and corruption, both by the police and the doctors. A quote from the British economist John Robinson: whatever you can rightly say about India, the opposite is also true. Veer Das is an Indian comedian, actor, and musician. In one of his performances, he remarked, "I come from an India where we worship women during the day and gang rape them at night." I, I genuinely, I genuinely see around myself cases and examples of women empowerment. I do, I really do. But at the same time, I cannot, I must not be ignorant to such cases. I don't believe in feminism. I don't think that's a word. I don't think that this word exists, and I don't think it should. Do we need feminism in India? No. I believe that we need public decapitation by a guillotine of such creatures in India before feminism. Now, getting back to that thing I mentioned earlier, the value of a life doesn't mean much here. I don't think I have to elaborate. I don't think I have to elaborate on that more, but I have an example that will tie this subject with the first scam in India. What was it? Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela, or more specifically for this one, Maha Kumbh. It's an in Hindu pilgrimage. It's a Hindu pilgrimage. People from all over the nation come here, take ritual dips in the water. It's the largest peaceful gathering of people in the world. It was celebrated in January 2025 this year. There were huge stampedes here and people lost their lives. At least 50 people died and 100 were injured. But because we've established the incompetency of the government and the officials present there, and how it would go to such extents to protect its image, and from multiple reports From the people present there, the number of deaths might very well exceed 100. It's very safe to say. Or am I thinking too much? Do remember that it was, at that time, the holiest place ever. The people who come here have a strong, deep relation with God. Tell me, tell me, what God that you pray to, or what's the teachings of the God you pray to that tells you to trample people under your feet to get closer to God? Tell me. And people blame the government. Ooh, the big bad government. They didn't manage us properly. Bad government. Boo. If only they'd manage us properly. We are Neanderthals. We're sheeps. We're cavemen. No wonder we're 100 years behind China. There was another incident on 27th September 2025. Recently, very recently. There was a there was a political rally being carried out in Karur, Tamil Nadu. The main person in the rally was Joseph Vijay, an actor turned politician. Trash at both. At a place suitable for a maximum of 10,000 people, 25,000 showed up, and maybe more than that. To catch, to do what? To catch a glimpse of this ugly, low IQ retard of a hero. In this crowd crush, 41 died and around 100 were injured. A 2-year-old passed away and 9 other children. There was one specific video that I watched, and the father was carrying his 2-year-old lifeless, carrying the lifeless body of his 2-year-old, and he was in a hospital. Like, there's also a side to the story that why do people bring their children to such places? God worshipping has gone too far now. Not actual God worshipping, this fake God worshipping. This hero then floods the scene and takes a flight from Trichy airport. Hero. All the other actors I've talked about, you may watch their movies, but you must not look at them as anything more than humans, as mere mortals who eat, shit, and die just like you. Journalists journalists magically disappear after exposing scams and corruption. Rajiv Pratap was a journalist in Uttarakhand. He had a channel called Delhi Uttarakhand Live. You can still look up the channel on YouTube. In his last video, just before this incident happened, he exposed the dirt, filth, and corruption in a hospital. After uploading the video, after this, he started getting threats from multiple people to delete the video. He didn't delete the video, he stood on his ground, and then after a call at night, he disappeared. His car and his body were found in a nearby lake, both in different location, both in different locations. There are several other cases like this. We're nearing the end of the video. Three Indian channels, three Indian channels on YouTube that I like. Let's talk about it. First is Food Farmer. The first channel is Food Farmer. So, the food situation in India is, correct me if I'm wrong here, the type of necessity food like grains, rice, milk, ghee, and dairy products, bread, are not only good quality but also very cheap and affordable in India. But as soon as you move from necessity to comfort food, it's all shit. And what this guy, Food Farmer, does is that he informs the masses of all the cancerous, not literally, he informs the masses of all the cancerous foods in their kitchens and what they're feeding their kids. Things like packaged juices, jams, many soft drinks, biscuits, milk brands, sauces, and chips, and how all of them have false advertisement. All of them. And believe me when I say that I have seen these products in all Indian households. All. In my own too. I've I've seen these products in all Indian households I've ever been to, and more often than not, it's the children which are consuming it. For this bravery act, he has gotten 8 legal notices, 2 crore defamation suit, and 2 6-month imprisonment charges. But he brutally mocked all of them. I've had this opinion for so long, for so long, for many years, and I do not care. I'm gonna say this: Maggie is the ultimate low IQ food. I encourage you to check it out yourself. He has a whey protein powder product that he's launching. It's called Only What's Needed. I genuinely think it's a revolutionary product. I am not sponsored, by the way. The main factor in it is that the entire food label, all the ingredients, how much of them and what they mean, is written on the front of the product. Very transparent company. And how it's all lab tested and everything. Nothing is faked or hidden. They also give you like a sheet with the product which has all the tests written on it and everything. I haven't personally tried the product myself, but I will soon. I think it's genuinely revolutionary. And I encourage you to check it out too. The second channel. This one's an entertainment channel. It's called Three Idiots. It used to be called Three Idiots, but now it's called We Idiots. I genuinely think that these people could be the next Mr. Beast of India. I genuinely do. But they had too many altercations with the low IQ masses, and they were on the verge of quitting their channel. But they didn't. Their content is a breath of fresh air, and I find them entertaining. Do check them out. The third channel is Passenger Paramveer. So this guy is a travel vlogger from my own state, Haryana. He is entertaining and informative. And most importantly, his world travel isn't just based on first world countries. So I like him. I like him. From the video title, you're probably thinking that I'm anti-India. I am not. I am opposite of that, and that I should leave India if I hate it, which I don't. I think there's cowardice involved in abandoning your homeland. You're not only abandoning the land, but the principles, the ideas, the philosophies, the religion, the gods that were born out of it, which I don't want to. I want to see and witness a prosperous India, a more prosper India. And I want to say one day that I was standing by her while she flourished, while our nation flourished. I am not exactly a fan of immigration, or at least not a fan of uncontrollable immigration. I think for third world countries like us, we need examples of first world countries with strong integrity so that we can follow the steps and become first world ourselves. Now, I think there's still some people who still think that I hate my country, which I don't. There's still some people who think that I hate my country. No, no. I hate everyone. Genuinely. I hate everyone. Let's talk about white people in America. This is, or at least was, a primarily Christian nation. And what does this religion advocate for the most? A strong, traditional nuclear family. Congrats. You have successfully broke. You have successfully broken the family structure. All of these LGBTQ illnesses and the indoctrination of children on such matters in their own school stem from you. Drag queens, drag queen story arcs, children being questioned about their own sexuality and then being converted, protest for genital mutilation and puberty blockers. Really? Is this what the strongest superpower nation has come to? I am obviously not a fan of Trump, but it's good he was elected and not a senile old man who can't walk or talk properly, or an Indian who thinks she's black. Otherwise, your country would have become third world. And for what? All in the name of cultural enrichment? Isn't this the exact reason why European nations are falling, why they're losing their strong integrity? I love white people. Let's talk about Muslims. Why would you let these people in your countries when their entire book commands them to attack you, rape you, conquer you, and impose Sharia law on you? The vast majority of grooming gang convictions in UK aren't Asian men, they aren't South Asian men, they are followers of Islam from a country which shares its borders with India. Do you remember before I asked you what are British Pakistanis really well known for? These people ram their buses into crowds of white people on the whitest holiday ever. Christmas, and they rate your daughters, your women, and you just give them a couple of years of jail time. Or worse, you say he's adapting to the culture. Or even worse, you blame the victim. And in weeks, he's out. He's out of the jail. But God forbid, but God forbid you say something mean about Big Brother, or you say something mean, or you tweet something mean. Police show up at your fucking doorsteps. And instead of learning from your mistakes, you give these people hotels with food and branded clothes. Meanwhile, your own citizens are suffering from rising prices. It's UK Stan now. It's Ireland Stan now. And Poland is Poland. They call Poland racist. If that what it takes to secure borders, well then, W Poland. I think Charlie Kirk said this, tweeted this. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Even in India, we've only started to deport these we've only started to deport these people after the Pahalgam terror attack. Even then, not in those places where we know these people reside at large. Wink wink, you know what I'm talking about. You know where I'm talking about. Islamophobia doesn't exist, by the way. It's not a real word. Not Muslims, not Muslims, but Islam and followers of Islam are first world terrorizers. What's the difference between these two? I actually love Islam. I actually love Muslims, and I don't Islam. Also, let's talk about the book. The book. For so long, I didn't know what consummate means. I didn't know. I thought consummate meant something along the lines of okay, you're married, but after consummated, you are like okay, officially married. I, like yeah, something along the lines of that. But then I looked up what consummate actually means. Terrorism doesn't have a religion. I agree, you're right. Pattern recognition, high IQ. W. Tommy Robinson. Islam tells you Islam tells you that you should follow the book. You must follow the book. Everything is written and everything written in it is good for thousands of years. But Buddhism tells the opposite. It is it said that you need not follow the teachings of Buddha after he sat under the Bodhi tree. Buddha himself advocated you to question those principles and find your own way of living. Let's talk about black people. First, the Americano Africano. Let's talk about the black people in America. BLM was a terrorist organization. Only 13% of the population but commit more than 50% of murders and robbery. Remember I talked about breaking the family structure. 80% of you don't have a father figure growing up. You people use the excuse of reparations to rob iPhone stores and do property damage. Okay, now let's talk about the blacks in Africano. You people are too busy unaliving all the Christians The white farmers kill the boer. The farmers. Brr, pa. Haven't Africa been given thousand, million, billion, bazillion, gazillion dollars and it still looks like that? There's not a single place I want to travel there even if all my expenses are covered. Kinda like the same people as kinda same as the last group of people. UK gives them hotels and world class facilities and they come in boats. Military age men, by the way, not women, not children escaping from war, escaping from famine, poverty, or something. Nah, military age men. I love black people. Let's talk about the Jews. I definitely think the Holocaust was real. I definitely think 6 million Jews were genocided and not 271,000. I definitely do not find it weird that it's illegal to even question it and not other Genovites. I definitely do not think Isbail is carrying out a tutorial of it in Baza. I definitely do not think they have too much influence over the land of opportunity. And I definitely do not think that they would drag them into a war they have no business being in. I love Jews. Now, from all of this, you could say that I hate all the people I talked about. And from the title of the video, I hate my own people. So, I hate everyone. Boom! Debunked. But that's not true. I don't hate anyone. That is true that I don't hate anyone. I just see the truth in them. I would like to take a moment of silence for all the good people I have talked about who have passed away. They all are martyrs in one way or another who have left a path for us to walk if we choose to better us and our nation. May they all rest in peace. One of the people that I mentioned before was Charlie Kirk. This news really gutted me from the inside. Very recently, I heard of Charlie Kirk's assassination. At first, I literally refused to believe it. Then I saw it, and my heart sank as deep as the Mariana Trench. I couldn't believe my eyes. And to think such a thing happening in America of all places. I cried, I was sad, I was filled with grief and sorrow. Not because I agreed with him or didn't agree with him, not because I'm for America or against America, and most importantly, you fucking lunatics, not because I'm left or right, but because he was a great man who stood up and spoke the truth. He stood up and spoke the truth. The people of his country, more importantly, the youth of his country wanted him to speak. And now he's taken away from them, from us. by these demonic entities. Not one, not two, not three entities. So, this is the end. I have an idea on what I plan to do with my channel and my life for the next 50 years. I have some plans to carry it out. I want to save the world from killing itself. That's what I want to do. And for this, and to do this, I am prepared to be in pain, to suffer, and be hated every single second of my existence to do so. It's a wild dream. I thought about it, and yeah, I don't have access to my laptop or haven't had access to my laptop for 2 3 months now. If I get support on this video, I'll start streaming and uploading as soon as I can. If not, I don't think I can survive another year. It's my last time here. I have an idea of another video sharing two incidents which changed my entire life for the better, and two things the youth should adopt in their daily lives. If you want it, let me know. Okay, so let's end this video. I will be I will be reading some quotes from the books I've read recently and I've read in the past. So, couple of months ago, I wanted to transfer a book to my Kindle. I used a USB cable, but it wasn't working. Even with three cables, it wasn't working. So I connected it to the internet, first time in 5 years, by the way. It got updated and it still didn't work. I reset the entire thing, and then it worked, and that too the second time. And guess what happened after it got updated? Look at the lock screen. Look at how hideous it looks. It looks disgusting actually. Before, the lock screen had character. It looked good. It looked like it had design to it. But now they choose this minimalistic design. And now it looks shit. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. Thank you. So after resetting my Kindle, it wiped off many books and quotes worth quoting, like Brothers Karamazov and the Devils or the Possessed, 1984, and Animal Farm. So many books were wiped off with their quotes. So I'm sorry for that. But I have started reading more. These are quotes from No Longer Human by Dazai Osamu. Uh, just to prove to you that these are indeed quotes. So, quotes from No Longer Human by Dazai Osamu. I was being corrupted. I now think that to perpetuate Such a thing on a small child is the ugliest, vilest, cruelest crime a human being can commit. An actor dreads most the audience in his hometown. I imagine the greatest actor in the world would be quite paralyzed in a room where all his family and relatives were gathered to watch him. I could never think of prostitutes as human beings, or even as women. They seem more like imbeciles or lunatics. I seem to be deficient in the faculty to love others. It is true that I dread poverty, but I do not believe I have ever despised it. Love flies out the window when poverty comes in the door. So true, so true. Society won't stand for it. It's not society. You're the one who won't stand for it, right? If you do such a thing, society will make you suffer for it. It's not society. It's you who will make you suffer for it. It's not society, it's you, isn't it? Before you know it, you will be ostracized by society. It's not society. You're going to do the ostracizing, aren't you? I had now lost all confidence in myself, doubted all men immeasurably, and abandoned all hopes for the things of this world, all joy, all sympathy, eternally. This was truly the decisive incident of my life. I had been split through the forehead between the eyebrows, a wound that was to throb with pain whenever I came in contact with a human. I suppose it would be no exaggeration to say that the world is composed entirely of unhappy people. Now I am living out my life in my corner, taunting myself with the spiteful and useless consolation that an intelligent man cannot become anything seriously, and it is only the fool who becomes anything. So true. I swear, gentlemen, that to be too conscious is an illness, a real thoroughgoing illness. In the first place, to blame because I am cleverer than any of the people surrounding me. I have always considered myself cleverer than any of the people surrounding me, and sometimes, would you believe it, have been positively ashamed of. These are quotes from Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Have you noticed that it is the most civilized gentlemen who have been the subtlest slaughterers? What man wants is simply independent choice, whatever that independence may cost and wherever it may lead. And choice is, of course, the devil only knows what choice. This particular quote actually made me cry in the night while I was reading it. Here I, for instance, quite naturally want to live in order to satisfy all my capacities for life and not simply my capacity for reasoning. That is, not simply 1/20th of my capacity for life. There are continually turning up in life moral and rational persons, sages and lovers of humanity, who make it their object to live all their lives as morally and rationally as possible. So, to be, so to speak, a light to their neighbors, simply in order to show them that it is possible to that it is possible to live morally and rationally in this world. And yet, we all know how those very people sooner or later have been false to themselves, playing some queer trick, often a most unseemly one. I think man will never renounce real suffering, that is, destruction and chaos. Why? Suffering is the sole origin of consciousness. Though I did lay it down at the beginning that consciousness is the greatest misfortune for man, yet I know man prizes it and would not give it up for anything else, and would not give it up for any satisfaction. Another circumstance too worried me in those days, that there was no one like me and I was unlike anyone else. I am alone and they are everyone. Moreover, they all began by degrees to grasp that I had already read books none of them could read, and understood things not forming part of our school curriculum of which they had not even heard. That's so true. Students nowadays can't even distinguish between study and reading. You are sold, all of you, body and soul, and there is no need to strive for love when you can have everything without love. And indeed, I will ask on my own account here an idle question: which is better, cheap happiness or exalted sufferings? Well, which is better? As for what concerns me in particular, I have only in my life carried to an extreme what you have not dared to carry halfway. And what's more, you have taken your cowardice for good sense and have found comfort in deceiving others, in deceiving yourself. These are quotes from The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I haven't fully read The Idiot, I'm still reading it and I'm liking it so far. I think this could be my best Fyodor Dostoevsky book so far. Money, of course, I know very little about it, but that's my view. When a man marries, when a man marries for money, it often happens that the wife keeps the money in her own hands. Of course, you don't know all, but when Ptitsin, I think the name is Titsin actually, when Titsin was 17, he slept in the street. He sold pen knives and began with a kopeck. Now he has 60,000 rubles. But to get them, what has he not done? Once I am rich, I shall be a genius, an extremely original man. One of the most vilest, most hateful things connected with money is that it can buy even talent, and will do so as long as the world lasts. So true. This particular quote is from Notes from the Underground. Some are glad to sell their daughters rather than marrying them honorably. Such a thing happens in those accursed families in which there is neither love nor God. And when there is no love, there is no sense either. There are such families, it's true, but I am not speaking of them. You must have seen wickedness in your own family. Have you? If you're honest, can you say that you have? These are some quotes from Brothers Karamazov. This one in particular touched my heart, and I strongly feel about it, and I strongly implement it in my own life. I can't see the sun, but even if I cannot see the sun, I can see the sun, but even if I cannot see the sun, I know that it exists. And to know that the sun is here, that is living. I love mankind, but I find to my amazement that the more I love mankind as a whole, the less I like man in particular. The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. So true, so true. And I have found something to live for, but I will need support from you people to carry it out, not just for a day or a month or a year, till the day I die. Love children especially, for they too are sinless like angels. They live to soften and purify our hearts and, as it were, to guide us. There is a similar quote in The Idiot. I think it says, the soul is healed by being with children. These are quotes from The Possessed or The Devils by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Our brother told me that the man who loses connection with his country loses his gods, that is, all his aims. It must be true that the whole second half of a man's life is most often made up only of habits accumulated during the first half. Mankind can still continue to live without the Englishman, can continue without Germany, can continue all too well without the Russian, can continue without science, can continue without bread. It is only without beauty that we cannot continue, for there will be nothing at all to do in the world. There's a quote in The Idiot similar to this, which I love so much. I strongly feel about it. I do. And it is, beauty will save the world. So true. This specific quote from Socrates you've probably heard a million times. But for me, particularly, it started something meaningful and beautiful in my life. And it is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. And I will be ending this video with my favorite quote of all time. Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go hollow.